We've got a lot of leftism in our culture right now, and we've got a lot of grading on a curve and all the rest of it. The Buffalo Bills cut punter Matt Araiza has been booted out of football. And why is that? Because of an allegation surfacing that he participated in a gang rape of a minor. Okay, and this really ties in with what we've been saying about the disfavored groups here in our culture. The accusation is that he participated in the gang rape of a minor while he attended San Diego State University. The accuser filed a civil lawsuit against Araiza and 3 other men, including 2 former SDSU teammates. Then prosecutors in San Diego's DA's office declined to file criminal charges. Why? Why did they decline to file charges? Because the guy wasn't even there at the time. He couldn't have committed this crime. He wasn't even in the building at the time. According to Yahoo, DA's office concluded Araiza couldn't have led the girl into the alleged gang rape because he had left the home at about 12:30 a.m., an hour prior to when evidence suggested the alleged gang rape would have occurred. He wasn't even at the party anymore. The DA's office says that this girl did appear to have sexual contact with a bunch of guys at this party, but that none of it appears to indicate rape. And in fact, some of it was caught on camera because we're being surveilled 24/7, and it shows that her story was not true. But this guy, this football player, was already tried in the media, and his life is already ruined. His career is already ruined, and that's that. And there are many, many such cases. Now, one conclusion from this is obviously people should have due process. We shouldn't have people tried for very serious crimes by committees of professors or by hack journalists or anybody else. There's another side to this story, though, which is, was coeducation a mistake? I'm not saying in all cases, but right now we have an educational system that does not distinguish really in any way between men and women, including in dormitories, including in suites in dormitories. There will be gender-neutral suites, so you're sharing a room with men and women. You're sharing a bathroom. That's been going on for 10 years. That was true when I was in college. And obviously you're sharing dormitories. And is that smart? I don't know. If you put people who are just brimming bags of hormones, and then you ply them with alcohol, which is what happens at every single college campus, and then the lines of consent get a little bit blurry when people are no longer in command of their rational faculties, and so all of a sudden you've got cases of regret, which then seem to be rape, or one can make a claim of rape, even though investigations and even surveillance footage will show that it wasn't actually a rape. But was this... If we're talking about how the law is a teacher and culture can be downstream of the law, wouldn't it make sense to just draw some of these distinctions a little bit more? Recognize that women are, in fact, the weaker sex. Men ought to be chivalrous. When you put young men and women together in certain situations and they're there all the time and they're drinking a lot and things can happen that are not conducive to their virtue. We talk about how we don't know the difference between men and women anymore because of the transgender issue. These issues started way before that. And so if men and women really are different, shouldn't we acknowledge that in all sorts of places in our law? Right now, go to CarZing.com/Knowles. Buying a new car can be a stressful experience for anyone, especially if you're a first-time buyer or have no credit. Before you walk into a dealership and spend the whole day with the crowds and the stress and the potential not even to find a car, you need to check out CarZing. CarZing is completely changing the way you buy a car online by partnering with credit agencies, lenders, and over 25,000 dealers nationwide. CarZing provides you with everything you need before stepping foot into a dealership. You can instantly pre-qualify online without affecting your credit score and get instant financing details, including what your down payment would be, your monthly payment, term, APR, putting you several steps ahead of other buyers. Once you find the right car at your ideal budget, all you've got to do is bring your saved deal voucher with you to the dealership, finalize your next ride. It is so simple. Even if you're not in the market for a new car, you should check out CarZing anyway. It's like window shopping. You just poke around, you see what's available in your area. CarZing helps make your experience faster, cheaper, less stressful. Go to CarZing.com/Knowles. Skip all that guesswork. CarZing.com/Knowles. I have just read the most nauseating article that I've read in a long time I don't have a waste paper basket or anything near me, so I'm going to try to keep it together as I pull this out for the show. It is an article by Wired Magazine, this very lengthy article profile of Pete Buttigieg. There he is, Mayor Pete, he's looking cool. He's looking so hip. It says Pete Buttigieg loves God, beer, and his electric Mustang. Sure, the U.S. Secretary of Transportation has thoughts on building bridges, but infrastructure occupies just a sliver of his voluminous mind. Ooh, I'm getting a tingle up my leg. A thrill. Here's what they're saying. I encourage you to read the whole profile. Don't do it after you've just had a big lunch. I mean, I would recommend you do it on an empty stomach. So this is how the whole thing opens. The curious mind of Pete Buttigieg holds much of its functionality in reserve, even as he discusses railroads derailing. No, they don't talk about derailing. Railroads and airlines down to the pointless data that is his current stock and trade. The U.S. Secretary of Transportation comes off like a Mensa black card holder who might have a secret Go habit. That's a game that mostly Asian people play. Or a 3-second Rubik's Cube solution, or a knack for supplying off the top of his head the day of the week for a random date in 1404, along with a non-condescending history of the Julian and Gregorian calendars. That's how the piece begins. And it only gets crazier from there. But this is my favorite one. This is my favorite piece. I slowly became aware that his cabinet job requires only a modest portion of his cognitive powers. Other mental facilities, no kidding, are apportioned to the Iliad, Puritan historiography, and Knausgaard's Spring, though not in the original Norwegian, slacker. Fortunately, he was willing to devote yet another apse in his cathedral mind to making his ideas about three mighty themes, neoliberalism, masculinity, and Christianity, intelligible to me. I'm not going to talk about Pete Buttigieg. I'm not going to diminish his cathedral-like mind. It's, to me, the most distressing part of this article is not what it says about our absolute failure of a transportation secretary. It's like the easiest job in any administration, and this guy has somehow managed to screw it up by not showing up for work and not fixing the problems he was supposed to fix and focusing on racist bridges instead of keeping our railroads secure so that trains can move on them. But I'm going to put that aside for a second. The thing that was most shocking to me here was that this Wired writer is impressed that a member of the president's cabinet has read the Iliad. How far has our culture fallen that is now the sign of having gone above and beyond in one's scholarly pursuits? The Iliad. If we lived in a normal culture, every high school student would have read the Iliad. Now you need to be a Rhodes Scholar working directly for the President of the United States to have read one of the foundational works of Western literature that basically reads like a Marvel movie. It's not even like the Iliad is some really abstruse philosophy. The Iliad is a war story and poem that's really fun and exciting. We are so uncultured. We are so ignorant. We are so mal-educated today that is impressive. That a columnist, that a profile writer, a journalist in Wired Magazine says, other mental facilities, no kidding, are apportioned to the Iliad. No kidding. Yeah, I hope the people running our government have read even the basic works of our civilization. These low expectations. It's a failure of journalistic integrity, of course, but it's just pathetically low expectations. How long are we supposed to continue as a republic if we live like this? If we don't know a damn thing about anything and we're impressed when our leaders can read? Not a good sign. Boy, what a clip that was, huh? If you want to get more of them, as well as the long interviews and the full show and all the different games, you got to ring that bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel.